So you're terrified that if you stop posting, you'll cease to exist entirely. Let's just get down to the root of the issue here. It's happening, you know it's happening, I know it's happening. We're afraid to not continue existing. Talk about existential crisis. And this is all mixed up with identity as well. And the reason is because we have this system set up in which everything that we do is reflected back at us through our online digital selves. And if we see no activity there, we feel as if though we're not actually existing. Right? Right? If there's no one commenting on your posts or no one is sending you a message, there's no likes racking up on your photos, there's no stimulus basically, then you're not there, you don't exist. And that's kind of true in a way, right? Because we've accepted this world as being the one in which reality exists. And this base reality is something we have to, is actually the void, and we have to emerge out of it and create ourselves in this whole virtual reality. And unless you're recognized, unless people respond to you, unless activity continues, you don't exist. All right. So not existing is something that we fear because we don't want to be forgotten. It's all tied to social anxiety, right? We are human beings that are social. We connect with friends and family. We want our lives to have meaning that goes beyond our lives, even though we know we're going to die. We want to feel as if though our DNA, our essence, has impacted and changed things and moved the world, or at least has some kind of survivability through our, our children, our family, our friends. And that's that's normal. We understand that. But while you're alive, you want to feel as if though that's going to happen. And it's almost like a drug, because you'll never really, no matter how many resources you rack up, you'll never really be able to get the sense that your essence is going to stick around forever, right? Uh, Ancient Egypt, you had pharaohs doing massive things, projects that lasted decades and probably caused a lot of suffering, um, just so that they could have their name carved into stone monuments that, okay, they're still around, but how does that help them, right? People don't really think of Tutankhamun on a day-to-day basis, right? So let's discuss what's going to happen in this video a little bit in a step-by-step manner. You have the silence of response to us online that we already covered, but that leads to this other underlying issue that I'm going to get to in just a moment, which is how there's an illusion happening because we're able to see the record of this evolution of our lives. And eventually, even deeper than that, we're going to discuss how that is caused by the visibility trap. But moving forward from where we had started, which is that there's this silence that makes us feel very existentially insecure when you don't have this stimulus coming from the online world. How do we move out of that is the question, right? I try to propose solutions, not just problems. But let's start with the fact that this is a problem, that unless we have the world being reflected back at us and reaching out back at us in this online space, we don't feel like we exist. So this solution is actually quite simple. Shift to getting stimulus and response in the real world, right? So, for example, you go and you visit a friend in person and you bring them a coffee, their favorite coffee in the morning. Surprise! Now, I know in today's world, people hate that. They want you to text first and message first, and you're not even able to call anymore because that's somehow rude or weird or intrusive. But the truth is, I think people nowadays really need that. Be a little bit rude. Show up, surprise them without letting them know, and tell them it's a surprise. Like, well, I couldn't text you beforehand because I wanted to surprise you. And maybe sit there and have a conversation if your friend is kind of disgruntled by that. Just say, hey, do you think it really makes sense that you're upset that your friend came to visit you to give you a coffee without you knowing first? Like, why do you feel the need to know everything that's going to happen all the time? Maybe it's because we've been conditioned to know what's happening all the time. And that leads into the visibility trap. So, um, let's discuss that in a bit. Before the visibility trap, however, we have this trailing record thing that I wanted to discuss, which is that when you're seeing what's happening over time, there's an evolution happening in your social media, right? You see where you were 3 years ago and where you're at now. There's all this progress. And in another video, I talked about how that progress is just inauthentic because you've been progressing at creating this identity that isn't really yours. Either way, um, it's part of the illusion is that you're seeing this evolution happen, and it's what makes you feel as if though you exist, right? Because you can just put your photo out there and maybe a few thoughts once in a while, and as long as it's there and you can see that you're online, you have a presence that people can reach out at any time, you do exist. But it's not enough, is it? We feel like there's got to be an evolution. We've got to see our lives in a visual fashion, whereas before that never was the case. Human beings, in large part for the majority of history, had never seen their own evolution reflected back at them at all times, at any time. Speaking of time, we call this the timeline, right? Or the feed. But mostly it's a timeline. I remember when Facebook introduced the timeline format. It was very weird at first. I didn't like it because it felt like, well, I don't want a record. I want something that's current. And so it's interesting because now, if I think about it, I'd prefer the timeline because, yes, it is a very enticing illusion to be able to go back 4 years from today back in time and to just search in the search bar for photos when I was at camp or whatever it was, and to be able to see that evolution. It makes me feel like I exist, like there's a persistent James across time. It makes me feel more real. But none of that is real. That's all forgotten. No one's looking through your timeline. You're not even looking through your own timeline. So why are we so um, bent on creating these beautiful photos and videos for this evolutionary timeline that we don't even pay attention to? We have to think about that. And that feeds into the visibility trap, like I was saying, which eventually feeds into data as immortality, which is the next thing I'm going to get to in a second. But the visibility trap is having this um, feeling that you need to be visible at all times. Meaning, yes, you have this presence online, you have this evolution, but you also have to be visible in real present time, which means here's one function when you can show your live location, right? Or check-ins. I checked in at the movie theaters in Berlin, right, to watch this film or whatever. So everything that makes us visible in real time, live videos, that's another visibility trap tool or thing that we engage with, is that it's not enough now to just be visible in this timeline record that anybody can access at all times. It's got to be in real time. You have to be visible. You have to be out there. Why? Because in real life, we feel that. That's why we live with people. We want to be around them. We want them to see us. We want to see them. We have to be present. And that's a good thing. But when it translates to the virtual world, it's a horrible thing because, again, we're simulating. We know that we're being watched by millions of people that don't know us and that we don't know. So all of a sudden, it's not you that's being visible, it's you that's being exposed. Being visible means that you have people who see you. And by see you, they see who you really are. They connect with you, right? Just like an avatar, I see you. It's more profound. That's real visibility when someone understands and sees who you are as a human being, your essence. But this type of visibility is exposure. You want to be seen insofar as people know about you, that they see that you exist, And that could lead to being visible, but most of the time it doesn't, right? They're not engaging with who you are. Maybe they send you nice comments, "Oh, you're so intelligent or you're so beautiful or whatever, but that's just validation. That's not really seeing who you really are. Who you really are is something that gets seen in between those gaps. It's who you are when you're not talking. It's the idiosyncrasies that you have as a human being, the little weird quirks, the preferences. It's the ups and downs of your emotional regulation. It's the turns and weaves in how you react to life's events that come at you, right? When someone's beside you living through that with you, now you're really being seen. But none of that substance gets shown really when you're online and you have a persona, right? You can try to show it. People do. They record their lives 24/7. I mean, hell, you see people in their bedroom literally just being live streamed and they're not doing anything. They're just living as if though no one was watching. Um, and really, that's just a bad trap because it feeds into this data immortality thing that I want to get to, right? Which is what it makes you feel immortal. Um, and that's kind of circling back to what I was saying with the Egyptian pharaohs, right? Is the whole reason we want to be visible and have people watch us and to be seen is because we want to feel like we're going to persist forever. It's not just about the real time experience now, it's we want to have this experience, this continuity of our consciousness and evolution of our personality and our identities. We want that to last forever. We don't want it to end. We don't accept death, in other words. And the only solution to that is to accept the ephemeral, which I'm going to get to very soon. But it's very important that you first admit to yourself that you want to be immortal. It's okay. I mean, we're human beings. We want to be immortal, and the only way we've found to be able to do that is to have children and art. If we put our names out there, if we invent something or become some kind of cult of personality, that we will persist and be immortal in some fashion. And we can, but all things end. What if the universe ends? All of this, if humanity ends, it doesn't even take the universe to end, but if humanity ends, asteroid hits tomorrow, done. There's no more life in the solar system, maybe not everywhere in the universe. That's it. All records, all permanence of your identity is gone, right? And what does that matter to you anyway? You're dead. You're dead anyway. No matter what it is that you believe, you're not going to be around to experience the world as you are right now anyway. So immortality is something that you could start to understand as being something that already exists, that you already have and you always will, because you think back to before you were born and all of the elements that came together to make you who you are was already there. So in a way, immortality is is already achieved. If you understand that, then you're not going to chase immortality in these ways that really just robs you of your present moment and of your happiness, right? And that requires that you embrace the ephemeral. And the ephemeral is this idea of impermanence, right? You embrace the impermanence of everything. And it's paradoxical because if everything is impermanent, that's the true permanent state of reality, right? Reality is permanent. Reality is immortal. It's pervasive. It's eternal. It's infinite. All these words that describes the sticking around of what we want to stick around. And you're part of that. And you have to embrace that the way that you're experiencing that reality that is eternal and permanent, that is ephemeral. That will go away. Just like your childhood went away. Just like your relationships dissolved. Just like your jobs ended. Just like everything, right? The flower that your loved one gave you that really touched you, withered and died. The ephemeral nature of reality is something to be embraced. Um, we we need to do that because otherwise we're always going to be gripped by this fear of being forgotten. And the irony it is that when you're living in fear of being forgotten, you're actually forgetting to live your life. You're not actually living and being happy and being well. So forget permanence, forget immortality, forget the fear of being forgotten. That's what needs to be forgotten. And remember that you're here now, existing, living, and enjoying life. Because that record, you know, if you had a really good year where you experienced life fully, that is permanent. That sticks with you, doesn't it? That really happened, and that record of it having happened is out there in the universe forever. So make sure you're living a life of joy and gratitude and appreciation for the present moment by forgetting this idea that you need to be immortal. All right? And I'll see you in the next one.